Hello and welcome to another excellent Battle Wagon adventure. Today the Battle Wagon becomes the bathing wagon. It's not very hard to see, but this paint is absolutely disgusting the whole way around. And like I said, I've got some paint plans for this car that I'm trying to get done, and now I have a long weekend to do it. First, I gotta actually make the undercoat of paint a little less bad. It'll never be good, I just want it to be less bad, so when I paint over it, you don't quite see as much of the texture grittiness to it that is, frankly, over this whole car. I don't even know if the camera will pick this up, but this whole thing is just like, oh, it's disgusting. I think the worst part is probably the roof. No sheen there at all. Honestly, I'm gonna be surprised if the previous owner ever washed this. Oh, ugh, that's bad. It's so dirty, it's so disgusting, there's so much crap on it. I'm actually gonna clean it with soapy water first before I even bother trying to use an actual car shampoo. And it's something I've never done before, but it was something that people online said if it's that bad, you could do it before clay barring. So I'm skeptical, but let's see how it goes. So now the initial pressure washing is done, I'm going to move on to the soapy water with the foam cannon, and I've decided it was too hot, so I've changed it to more Battle Wagon appropriate clothing for this.
Get up, stand up, come on, throw your hands up if you got the feeling. Jump up, touch the ceiling, monks, let's a funk flow. Someone's talking junk, yo, I'll bust them in the eye, and then I'll take the punks out. Feeling funkin', amps in a trunk, and I got more rhymes than this cops at a Dunkin' Donut shop.
Now what we're doing is we have it all soaped up nicely, and we're going to let it sit, kind of absorb out most of the upper level contaminants, rinse it off, recoat it again, and do a hand wash. Now the Battle Wagon's been sitting and soaking for about 15-20 minutes. I've refilled my spray bottle with soapy water in the meantime. I'm going to rinse this thing off with the pressure washer again, and then I'm going to respray it down and then start to hand wash.
I came to get down, I came to get down. So get out your seat and jump around. Jump around. Jump around. Jump around. Jump up and get down. Jump, 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 jump.
And cue the hand wash.
I'll serve your ass like John McEnroe. If your girl steps up, I'm smacking the hoe. Word to your moms, I came to drop bombs. I got more rhymes than the Bible's got psalms. And just like the prodigal son, I've returned. Anyone stepping on me, you'll get burned. Cause I got lyrics, but you ain't got none. If you come...
The hood was definitely starting to collapse when I did that, for the record.
But if you do, you're a fool, cause I do to the death. Trying to step to me, you take your last breath. I got the skill, come get your fill. Cause when I shoot the gift, I shoot the kill. I came to get down, I came to get down. So get out your seat and jump around. Jump around. Jump around. Jump around. Jump up and get down. Jump, 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 jump. I'm the cream of the crop, I rise to the top. I never eat a pig cause a pig is a cop, or better yet a Terminator, like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Trying to play me out like as if my name was Sega, but I ain't going out like no punk bitch. Get used to one style, yo, and I might switch it up and around. Then buck, get down, put out your head and then you wake up in the dawn of the dead. I'm coming to get ya, I'm coming to get ya. Spitting out lyrics, homie, I wet ya. I came to get down, I came to get down. So get out your seat and jump around. Jump around. Jump around. Jump around. Jump up and get down. Jump, 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 jump.
So that took way longer than I expected because the car was absolutely disgusting. This is probably the dirtiest car I have ever attempted to hand wash. By far the worst part was the top of the car, and then by the rear wind splitter above the rear gate. I mean, literally an 1/8 inch of this crusted on dirt blackish brown, potentially even grease crap. It was bad. It's two things. It's tough to see with the lighting, but definitely rippled the hood doing that. And like I said, when I first bought this car, one of the added perks is don't care that it's rippled, and that is an awesome feeling to just not give a shit about it. If you ever get the opportunity to experience a car like that, and if you can afford to do so, highly recommended. Awesome feeling. And my neighbor's got a garden right there on the corner, and I'm pretty sure they were out gardening the entire time I was doing that. But hey, fuck it, Battle Wagon, still worth it. It's pretty much gonna be the final walk around of the car. It's obviously still a little bit wet, but I mean, already the paint looks substantially better, substantially cleaner. It's not smooth at all still, so I'm gonna quickly clay bar it before I do a couple surprise painting fun bits. But yeah, this car is already looking substantially better. It's significantly improved compared to how it looked. Did it take me way longer than I wanted it to? Yes, but I'm so far pretty happy with the results. Here's a final walk around of the car now that it's mostly dried. It's still dented, dinged, and scuffed everywhere, but the paint's actually cleaned up really well. All that white crap that was all over it, especially on the back half of the car, that's all come off for the most part. A couple little watermarks here, but it's not a huge deal. This whole section, all these seams were covered in that white speckled grime, I guess you would call it. Also, the previous owner, a woman named Marjorie, was clearly related to Freddy Krueger based on these scratches all around the door handle. Yeah, otherwise I'm really happy with how this cleaned up. This is looking really good. Again, here in the front corner, you know, it's still got all these dents and dings and scrapes. It's got some watermarks because I didn't bother hand drying, knowing that I still have to clay bar, but for the most part, it's actually cleaned up really well. I'm mostly surprised by that. Now for my final paint prep, I'm just gonna throw a clay bar at it and call it a day. For everyone who hasn't clay bar before, it's pretty easy. You get the detailing spray or some soapy water. The detailing spray is a bit oily if you're worried about that. Basically, you spray it into a small area and you just rub it back and forth until the clay bar itself stops snagging. When this looks really dirty, you need it. Reveal a new surface and continue. You can already see I just got this one area. All that is dirt that was trapped in the paint. Here's an older area, you know, a lot less shine over there. And this you can see right here where it's a little bit wet. I'll spray it down again real quick. I mean, that is a very good sheen. That's what the paint's gonna look like when you're done, especially if you're using a good wax. After you hit a small area and you're happy with it, you hit it with the buffing cloth, which is actually included in the mother's kit, which is one I got. I think that one's about 10-15 bucks on Amazon. And here's a quick representation, right? Here's the area I just hit and just buffed. Very smooth, very clean. Here's the rest. It's that grimy, poorly reflecting surface, whereas this is a nice, much deeper look to it. So that should really show you some sort of representation of how different the car is going to look with just a quick clay barring. I shouldn't say the word quick, it's actually going to take quite a bit of time, but I think you understand what I mean. I'm not going to show me doing the whole car because frankly I don't think I've got enough space in my memory card to do that. I'll just show the end result. I just finished the top of the car. For point of comparison, here's the regular paint. Again, not a great reflection, not a whole lot of sheen coming off of it. And this is just a quick clay bar job, and it's far from perfect, but again, substantially improved reflection. And it was just kind of a quick pass over because the car was just that rough. But this has a substantially improved sheen to it. It's a much deeper color, and the reflection, as you can see, is substantially improved over the entire roof of the car. Again, for comparison, that's freshly washed and still, you know, a little bit hazy to it. Quick clay bar, much more clear. Roof was definitely, when you felt the paint, the worst part as far as having contaminants and grit in it. The rest of the car is bad, but not nearly as bad. So that took me almost an hour to get just the roof because of how bad it was. The rest of the car should go quicker, but it's still going to take more time than I would like. So I'm just going to start masking it off and get this thing paint prepped and ready to go. I've decided I'm not going to be clay barring the part. I'll be repainting because it's good enough with just the cleaning that removed most of it, that the paint will cover any texture left by contaminants. If you are still clay barring, pro tip, if you clean your window off well with a glass cleaner, you can then clay bar it, and then after that hit it with a glass cleaner again. I'll show you the finished result in a sec. So this is what it looks like after clay barring and hitting it with a glass cleaner. It's substantially more clean. Everything here you see is all on the inside, so I still got to clean that part off. For comparison, this is kind of what the glass looked like before, where it's got a lot of streaks, a lot of smudges, and it looks like an absolute disaster. So it cleans it up really well. You can also put a synthetic wax on at the end if you really care, but I'm too lazy.